All right, I'm going to go live on YouTube. If somebody can make a post on Facebook to join us on YouTube, because Facebook ain't working. All right. Okay. Hey, everybody in YouTube land. We're still working on figuring out our life here. It looks like Facebook is not going to stream for us this morning, so we're having some technical difficulties. So hopefully you're joining us on YouTube. So yeah, somebody alert Facebook that we're okay. Good, thank you. All right, so everybody join us here over on YouTube, where we can say Happy Easter. And today we are continuing our Via Transformativa theme of Go with the Flow. We're exploring how we can allow life to unfold naturally and move us along in the stream of the divine river of love. And boy, oh boy, is it a strange Easter this year. This is an empty room, basically. Usually, this is the day that most churches are full to the brim with what Howard Hanger, the founder of the Jubilee community in Asheville, tends to call creasters. You know, the ones who show up on either Christmas or Easter. This year, those creasters can't get their church card stamped this year, as we are all sequestered in our homes, trying our best to practice social distancing for fear of encountering that invisible virus that threatens our very lives. It is a strange Easter indeed, but if we think about it, Easter's pretty strange anyway, right? It's a day when we celebrate the phenomenon of a dead guy getting up and stretching and taking off those grave clothes 3 days after being good and bodily dead, after spending a whole day or so hanging on a cross. And we celebrate this miracle of reanimated flesh getting up and walking around. Well, that's what traditional Christianity celebrates anyway, and that, of course, is strange indeed. What Easter really celebrates, however, is not really the reanimation of dead flesh, but the reanimation of life itself, the resurrection that is available to us in every moment. You see, life has a flow from crucifixion and death to resurrection just every stinking moment of the day. We are always feeling crucified because the ego wants us to constantly feel under attack for something, from something, even if it's our own voice of criticism inside our heads. Then there's the deaths we die over and over again. Old ways of living are torn out from under us. We lie fallow, wondering what the hell to do next. Then there comes a time for new life to emerge. A new way of living coaxes us from our tomb of anxiety and welcomes us with open arms of love and creativity. All around us may still seem to be dead as we are entombed in our own homes. But the good news of today, Jubilants, is that we are risen today. Indeed, we are all risen. We are called to a new life right now, even amidst the crucifixion. And when we can embrace that call to arise, then we all get to say, oh yeah. We begin, that needed to be more enthusiastic. Oh yeah. We begin today as we begin every celebration, whether we are in person or here in this virtual world. We begin by remembering the four elements, the earth and the air and the water and the fire, and we recall the four directions to orient ourselves in this time of sacred space.
Let us turn and face the east. Holy One, just as the sun rises in the east, empower us to see and believe in new beginnings, to arise into each new day seeking new possibilities, new opportunities, and new worlds to explore. As we live through the fear and anxiety of this time, remind us that joy comes after despair, sunrise after the dark, and laughter after the tears. Refresh us this day, Holy One, and grant us your power to refresh the world. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the south. Help us, Holy One, to reclaim our creative power. Just as Jesus rose from the tomb on this Easter day, connect us with our own powers of resurrection from every death we face in this life. Give us the power we need to walk from our tombs of despair and discouragement into the light of a new day. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the west. As another day draws to a close, Holy One, help us to accept our human limitations while at the same time embracing our holy creative powers. Help us to let go of anything that holds us back, or keeps us from realizing the promises you have in store for us. Help us, Holy One, to stop resisting that natural urge to go to embrace our whole divine selves. Quarter turn to the right and we face the north. Holy One, we call to you from the north, where wisdom and power reside. Forgive us when we fail to recognize and use the power that you have given us to bring joy and healing to the world around us. Renew in us a sense of awe, a sense of your presence that dwells within each of us. Turn back towards the center. I invite you to claim the power of resurrection this morning, to see yourselves as you really are, the beloved children of the still speaking, still living God. In this time when crucifixion seems all too real in our own lives, I invite you to not dwell upon the sorrow of the time, but be willing to seek the joy in every moment, the joy that awakes from the tomb, lays aside its grave clothes, and emerges saying, "Oh yeah."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Should I take a moment, because I ended up having to have a new link. Should I take a moment to share the new Facebook link? I mean the new YouTube link. Let me do that. Well, y'all talk amongst yourselves, because I'm gonna approach the camera. Y'all play a little bit in the background. Y'all are gonna get a nice close up of me. Let me see if I can find this. All right. Oh, doggone it. All right, y'all. Enjoy this musical interlude. Well, that was a waste of time, because I don't know my Facebook login, so hopefully y'all are fishing around and finding us. I am over technology. I'm so glad when we don't have to do this anymore. Dag nabbit. Keep going, guys. Keep going, keep going. I got to do one more thing on that screen. Hang on. Keep going. All right, all right. Here we go. Keep going. I'll jump in. That's where we are. Here we go. May the light of love surround you. May the light of love be with you. May the light of love surround you, bringing peace and joy and kind. In this world full of chaos, full of hatred and despair, may your light of love shine brightly, bringing peace and joy and light. May the light of love surround you. May the light of love be with you. May the light of love surround you, bringing peace and joy and kind. We can see the joy around us if we take each other's hand. All our minds joined in oneness as we seek to understand. May the light of love surround you. May the light of love be with you. May the light of love surround you, bringing peace and joy and kind. Once again, may the light of love surround you. May the light of love be with you. May the light of love surround you, bringing peace and joy and kind. Bringing peace and Well, we hope that you have found us, and hopefully you found us on YouTube. Are we on Facebook? Are we streaming? Okay. All right. All right. So, and we've got a workaround for Facebook over there, so hopefully you have found us and you're with us. So welcome to Jubilee Circle. We are a spiritual community here in Columbia, South Carolina, offering inspiration, affirmation, healing, and service to live abundantly, love wastefully, and awaken to our true divine self. We are a progressive and inclusive community. We are affiliated, as loosely as one can be, with the Jubilee community in Asheville, North Carolina. And we are influenced by Hebrew and Christian scriptures, but we give that a little metaphysical twist by reading it through the lens of A Course in Miracles. And we ground ourselves also in a little something called creation spirituality, which begins not in that dark place of original sin, but in that bright place of delight, that original blessing where God created this infinite universe, this planet we spin around upon, all the creatures upon it. And finally, in that controversial move that is still being discussed, especially really being discussed right now, God created we amazing and beautiful and generous and kind and greedy and weird and infectious and recalcitrant human beings. And God looked at all of that creation and said, no, that's great. That is very, very good. And God continues to delight in all of creation and invites us to do so as well. Oh, yeah. All right, so just a few announcements. Looks like this is going to be a long-term thing, so hopefully our technical glitches will get less and less. We apologize for all of our technical difficulties. Everybody's streaming. It's Easter, and everybody's streaming right now. So we hope that you're here with us. So next Sunday we will continue using more original music, and we're going to explore the flow of belief in our Via Transformativa theme of Go with the Flow. And we will have a Zoom talk back following this celebration. Hopefully that link on your Facebook and on our JubileeCircle.com homepage will be up and running following this celebration. And I don't know of anything else coming up. Stay tuned on the JubileeCircle.com Facebook, because a lot of our regular workshops that we've been doing in person are now just being done over Zoom. So we'll add links and information to anything that's coming up. Are you going to try to do introverts again on Zoom at the end of the month? No? Oh.
Pick a mic that's hitting your jacket a lot.
Well, all right.
Every time you move your jacket.
Well, we can just put it on the jacket. How's that? Hey!
Better.
Now things are better. All right. All right, well, cool. Hear these wise and ancient words from this wise and not ancient woman.
Thank you.
Yes.
From the Jesus story, John 20, 1-3, 6, 10-11, 14, and 16.
I just couldn't make up my mind, so I was like,
Oh, okay,
lots,
that's fine.
yeah.
I'll just read
Go
off
ahead.
numbers. Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb. So she ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved, and said to him, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." Then Peter and the other disciple set out and went toward the tomb. Simon Peter went into the tomb. He saw the linen wrappings lying there, and the cloth that had been on Jesus' head, not lying with the linen wrappings, but rolled up in a place by itself. Then the disciples returned to their homes, but Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. She turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Hebrew, Rabboni. I apologize for that pronunciation.
Rabboni.
Which means, Rabboni? Sorry. Which means teacher. From A Course in Miracles, chapter 11. Resurrection must compel your allegiance gladly, because it is the symbol of joy. Its whole compelling power lies in the fact that it represents what you want to be. The freedom to leave behind everything that hurts you and humbles you and frightens you cannot be thrust upon you, but it can be offered you through the grace of God, and you can accept it by his grace. Teach not that I died in vain. Teach rather that I did not die by demonstrating that I live in you. The dream of crucifixion still lies heavy on your eyes, but what you see in dreams is not reality. While you perceive the Son of God as having nightmare.
as
Sorry,
crucified.
while you perceive the Son of God as crucified, you are asleep. And as long as you believe that you can crucify him, you are only having nightmares. You will awaken to your own call, for the call to awake is within you. If I live in you, you are awake. From Muslim mystic Hafiz, laughter. What is laughter? What is laughter? It is God waking up. Oh, it is God waking up. It is the sun poking its sweet head out from behind a cloud you have been carrying too long, veiling your eyes and heart. It is light breaking ground for a great structure that is your real body called truth. It is happiness applauding itself and then taking flight to embrace everyone and everything in this world. Laughter is the pole star held in the sky by our beloved, who eternally says, "Yes, dear ones, come this way towards me and love. Come with your tender mouths moving and your beautiful tongues conducting songs, and with your movements, your magic movements of hands and feet and glands and cells dancing. Know that to God's eyes, all movement is a wondrous language, and music, such exquisite, wild music. Oh, what is laughter, Hafiz? What is this precious love and laughter budding in our hearts? It is the glorious sound of a soul waking up."
These are wise and holy words. Thanks be to the holy. All creation is holy word. All creation speaks volumes of the holy. Hallelujah. And one day soon we will all stand and sing. But for now, we will move on to the sermon. And our song this morning is one I wrote back in 2018. It is a song. I've written lots of songs, and we're not supposed to have favorites, but
But we do.
But we do. This is my favorite song. It's about. It was inspired really by A Course in Miracles, where there's a line in A Course in Miracles that says, in Genesis, God put Adam to sleep, so God could take the rib and make Eve in the story. But nowhere in the Scripture does it say that Adam awakes. And so we are still living in Adam's dream, the illusion. And this song is called Dreamer Awake. 2, 3, 4. In the beginning, Adam took a nap and dreamed that another sprang from his lap. Since then we plainly see, you are you and I am me. In this dream we're separate and alone, all just longing to come home. Our fears become a nightmare, all roads lead to nowhere. Dreamer awake to a life inside no fear can overtake, to a love that one can ever forsake, to a joy that heals every mistake. Dreamer awake. It was writer Albert Camus who said during a 1957 speech, "An Oriental wise man always used to ask the divinity in his prayers to be so kind as to spare him from living in an interesting era. As we are not wise, the divinity has not spared us, and we are living in an interesting era." It seems we are living out that age-old curse, as the era we are living in has become far too interesting for comfort. With this pandemic spreading its invisible tentacles all around the world, we know of those who are sick. Some of us know of those who have died. We all know the fear, the uncertainty, the utter mind-blowing, life-changing effect that it has had on our world, both individually and collectively. There is no escaping this moment for any of us. All we can do in this time is to love each other, to help each other as best we can, while social distancing is in effect, and be willing to see this terrible time as a gateway into a better future for us all. Today, of course, is Easter Sunday, and in terms of we clergy types, It is the most challenging day of the year for us. It's a day when we're supposed to stand in our pulpits or before our music stands and offer the assembly a word of hope, a word of joy, a word of resurrection after a terrible crucifixion. It's always a daunting task offering hope when we feel like we're entombed in our own homes, looking out on a world that is and will be forever changed. But I think that the readings we heard this morning offer us hope for a new world, for a better world that can emerge from the ashes of this current, ongoing, slow-motion tragedy. Even on this Easter morning, when we are still so deeply in the midst of our own crucifixion, hundreds still being diagnosed with COVID-19 while thousands are sick and dying, the stone has yet to be rolled away from this pandemic's tomb. However, even in this moment, we can see resurrection taking place. In this moment, we can celebrate because what comes after this crucifixion is totally up to us. The new world that we can create awaits our creativity, it awaits our joy, it awaits our compassion and our laughter, and most of all, it awaits our love. Resurrection, our reading from A Course in Miracles this morning says, is a symbol of joy. Its whole compelling power lies in the fact that it represents what you want to be, the freedom to leave behind everything that hurts you and humbles you and frightens you. Cannot be thrust upon you, but it can be offered you through the grace of God, and you can accept it by God's grace. In this moment, we are being offered the grace we need to move forward in love, to become what we want to be, and truly leave behind everything that hurts us or humbles us or frightens us. The dream of crucifixion right now still lies heavy on our eyes. Tune into the news for just 5 minutes and you can feel that grip of fear on your heart. We continue to perceive this world as crucified in the grips of a pandemic that seems to be without end. And while we cannot wish the virus away, we can still claim resurrection in the midst of it, because new life, new ways of living and being in this world are already emerging. We are finding new ways, even in social distancing, to connect with each other, to take joy in the presence of others by joining our minds and our faces, at least through technology. We're finding that less human activity in the world is giving new life to the earth. Pollution and smog are diminishing. The air is cleaner. Wildlife is thriving. The earth is already resurrecting and renewing itself. And while the virus may be seen as a crucifixion, an awful intruder on our way of life, it's also our catalyst for resurrection, for a new, healthier earth, and a more conscious humankind to emerge. We are being forced to become innovative. And humanity, when that happens, humanity has always risen to the occasion. New and better systems, new and better ways to relate to one another. That's what will arise from this pandemic. And in this moment of crucifixion jubilance, we are offered hope. We are offered a chance for a new way of living, a new way of relating, a new way of being in this world that honors not just the creation around us, but the people and creatures on this earth. While we perceive the world as crucified, we remain asleep, the Course says. When we can perceive the resurrection is all around us, though, that's the holy invitation for all of we dreamers to awake. Breathe deeply. 2, 3, 4. In our dreams we fall and fly. We sink into the deep and touch the sky, standing naked and exposed for the world to behold. This dream holds us captive, swept up by changing seas. The only real conclusion is to rouse from the illusion. Dreamer, awake to a life inside no fear can overtake. to a love no one can ever forsake, to a joy that heals every mistake. Dream her awake. Now, the key to finding resurrection during this awful time of crucifixion remains this: willingness. We must be willing to look beyond this current crisis, to see the hope and the promise and the resurrection that it offers to us, even as we remain asleep in this nightmare. In Jesus' story, we see a model today for this kind of willingness in the form of Mary Magdalene, as she is heading down to Jesus' tomb on Easter morning, ready to anoint his dead body with oil. As she arrives, though, she sees the stone has been rolled away. The body of her beloved teacher is missing. And so she runs to tell the disciples about her experience, and they rush down to the site, and they see Mary's telling the truth. He's gone. They believe her story. But after confirming her tale, they leave. But Mary can't bear to leave the last place that she knew her beloved teacher had been. Even in the midst of her crucifixion, in the middle of her deep pain, she remained in the garden outside the tomb. It's not like she could do anything, really. I mean, she's in a helpless position. The man she loved is gone. She has no idea where he is, and stories are probably spinning in her head. Who took Jesus' body? Why? Where is he now? How can I go on? We all understand this kind of despair. Crucifixions come to us in many forms, but the emotions that we feel are often the same. We feel lost. We feel out of sorts. Our world is turned upside down, sometimes even inside out, and we're disoriented. We do our best to cope, but we often find ourselves overcome by emotion and fear and doubt and worry. And nobody out there right now can identify with that at all. But that's where we are in the midst of our own coronavirus crucifixion. We are worried. We are fearful. We're coping as best we can against an unseen enemy, and we want to run like the disciples. We want to leave the tomb of fear and discomfort. We want to go back home. We want to go to some place that makes some sense. But sadly, that place, it doesn't exist. There is no normal we can return to at this point. There's no there to go back to. Mary must have felt this in her fear and despair. Without a normal to return to, she stayed. She stayed in the place of anxiety. In the midst of her fear and her pain, she endured. She embraced the moment that she was in. Her past was gone. The future was unwritten. Nevertheless, she persisted. She made that moment of anxiety, she made that her home. And when she did, resurrection came. And it took the form of the man she thought was the gardener. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." And Jesus said to her, "Mary." And she turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. It was that moment, jubilance, when Jesus spoke her name, that Mary realized she was in the midst of her own resurrection. Jubilance, even in this moment of fear and uncertainty, the resurrection calls to us. It is saying our name, hoping that we can see beyond this veil of tears to the new world that is emerging around us in every moment. You will awaken to your own call, the Course in Miracles says. For the call is to awaken is within you. If I live within you, you are awake. Jubilance, right now, we are awake. We are awake today in this resurrection moment, but we prefer to sleep. We prefer to remain unaware of our resurrected state. We're called to be those who are willing to persist, even as others give in to their fear. We are called to awaken, to persist in hope, and awaken to the power of the resurrection that is occurring right now. It's significant that the person who was willing to experience the resurrection amid this crucifixion was a woman. Another gospel writer notes that the disciples, upon hearing Mary's wild story about this empty tomb, dismissed it as, quote, an idle tale. You see, women had no power in that society. So the men were not inclined to take her story seriously. Some hysterical woman talking about Jesus being gone. What? They had to go. The trust but verify, right? They had to go and see for themselves. But even after they saw that empty tomb, they were still blind to the resurrection that had already occurred. They remained in their dream of crucifixion. So when we talk about resurrection, even as this crucifixion appears to continue, expect to be dismissed. Expect others to hear your story of hope, your vision of a new world, and just dismiss it as nothing more than an idle tale. Nevertheless, I invite you to persist, to be the dreamers who awaken to the new world that is taking hold as this old one is passing away. Get into that flow of resurrection jubilance and awaken to the life inside that no fear can ever overtake. Breathe deeply. Dreamer away to a life inside no fear can overtake, to a love that none can ever forsake, to a joy that heals every mistake. Dreamer away. The truth is, every era, every epoch, every time that we live in is interesting. Because the Holy is constantly beckoning us to enter this flow of resurrection. New worlds are born, they serve their purpose, and they pass away as another new world is being born. It happens in nature all the time. As the seasons come, they bring their blooms, their frozen times, their transformations, and when they have completed their task, they give way to a new world. The cycle is never ending. We too, we have our times of new life that brings new lessons and new experiences and new people or places or things, and then that season of our life passes and another world appears with new lessons and experiences and people and places and things. Where we go wrong is exactly where the disciples took their wrong turn. We insist on clinging to the old world instead of arising in the new. This is the lesson of Mary. She welcomed the new world. The author of John made it explicitly clear that he was recreating the Adam and Eve story in his resurrection tale. At the beginning of Jesus' ministry in this gospel, Jesus asked John the Baptist's followers who they're looking for. He was heralding this new ministry that he was bringing to the earth. The old egoic way of seeing God as a harsh, exacting, and capricious God was passing away as Jesus arrived to teach us that the ego's world is all an illusion and we are all one in the mind of God. So on this morning of resurrection, we begin, like we did in the creation story, in darkness. Mary approaches the tomb in the dark, just as this ego world began in darkness. But by the end of the story, Mary has recognized the light of Christ within herself and the world, and she leaves the garden, not in shame, but rejoicing. That is the difference. The original creation story ends in shame, in Adam and Eve rejected from the garden. This creation story, the one that Jesus invites us to experience, ends in joy. It ends in peace and love, and as Hafez notes, it ends in laughter. What is laughter? What is laughter? It is God waking up. Oh, it is God waking up. It is the sun poking its sweet head out from behind a cloud you have been carrying too long, veiling your eyes and heart. It is light, breaking ground for a structure that is your real body called truth. It is happiness applauding itself and then taking flight to embrace everyone and everything in this world. I invite you, jubilants, hear the good news this Easter morning. Even in the middle of our interesting era of fear and despair, there is hope, there is joy, there is laughter, the sound of God waking up, the sound of our souls waking up. Yep, we live in uncertain times, but here's the truth. We always live in uncertain times. Life in the ego is always uncertain. It's always tempting us to stay and dwell in our crucifixion, to give in to fear and despair. The divine, however, is constantly calling us to awaken, to realize that life is but a dream and we are not all just in separate boats. Instead, we're just water itself, dreaming that we can float. Jubilants, let us no longer look for the living among the dead. The flow of resurrection demands that we release the old world. We release our old egoic ways of thinking, our old egoic ways of structuring our world, our old egoic ways of believing. We are invited to a new world, one that is budding with the hope that new ways of thinking and believing will be built on a solid foundation of love and compassion and joy and laughter. Hafez says laughter is the pole star held in the sky by our beloved, who eternally says, yes, dear ones, come this way towards me and love. Come with your tender mouths moving and your beautiful tongues conducting songs, and with your movements, your magic movements of hands and feet and glands and cells, dancing. Know that to God's eye, all movement is a wondrous language, and music, such exquisite, wild music. We have a choice this morning, Jubilants. Who will you be on this Easter morning? Will you be like the disciples who saw that empty tomb, but were not willing to persist in finding resurrection amid the crucifixion? Or will you be like Mary? Will you be willing to endure the pain and uncertainty of this very interesting time in history, knowing that all around you is the garden of a new world that calls your name, that waits for you to recognize the new life that it offers? One choice leads to tears, the other to laughter. Oh, what is laughter, Hafez? What is this precious love and laughter budding in our hearts? It is the glorious sound of a soul waking up. Life is but a dream, all in separate boats. But what if we're all water, just dreaming we can float? Sinner and saint, villain and hero, every single one of us plays our role. But at the final curtain call, we applaud every soul. As Adam awakens, he can see, I am you and you are me. The eyes of love reveal there is only one of us here. Dreamer awake. Oh yeah. Right, I invite you during this prayer time, let me believe that, Capo 2 all day today. I invite you in this prayer time, you might want to set up a candle that you can light. Light your candle. Think of your requests. Use this time for contemplation. This is another original song that I wrote called Love Will Carry Us. 2, 3, 4. When my thoughts turn from light and dwell instead in darkest night, causing my heart to despair, even then I know you're there. Belief in lack and fear will finally disappear. I speak my words into the world, they return as love unfurled. I affirm peace and prosperity, I affirm light and unity, I affirm joy and happiness, I affirm that love will carry us all, carry us all. We all reap what we sow. Life unfolds when we're in flow. That's when the miracles appear, bringing love in place of fear and reconnection to our perfection. Speak your words into the world, they return as love unfurled. I affirm peace and prosperity, I affirm light and unity, I affirm joy and happiness, I affirm that love will carry us all, carry us all. I affirm peace and prosperity, I affirm light and unity, I affirm joy and happiness, I affirm that love will carry us all. I affirm peace and prosperity, I affirm light and unity, I affirm joy and happiness, I affirm that love will carry us all, carry us all. Peace and love and harmony,
Carry us
peace
all.
and love
Carry
and
us
harmony. Yes, love will carry us. Oh yeah. All right, Janice. Wow. And Trisha on the backup vocals there. Woo! All right, thank you. So we're going to move to Zoom here in just a few minutes. My appreciation continues for the band, for Janice Mewborn, for Trisha Fopp, for Michael Reisman and Beth DeHart, and that dude, Keith Edwards, our bassist extraordinaire, and Cece, our lazy drummer back there, our mascot. Cece, the lazy drummer. Well, she can keep a beat. That dog can keep a beat. All right. So as we move to adjourn for our talk back on Zoom, you will find links to that on jubileecircle.com or on our Facebook page at Jubilee Circle. as this time of social distancing and businesses having to be closed or offering limited services, I do want to remind you that here at Jubilee Circle we do have this space that we are trying to maintain until we can come back together again in physical form, and paying staff and all of that. So we hope that you will be generous in giving to Jubilee Circle during this time. You can give online at jubileecircle.com. There is a donate button there, and we hope that you will continue to support us as we support you here in this virtual world. Say this affirmation with me. Our affirmation for giving our gifts is: God's love has always met and will always meet my needs. I give freely and receive joyfully, knowing that giving and receiving are the same. And they are the same, and we dedicate all gifts that come into Jubilee Circle for giving and receiving, so we can put out our light in the world, and that light can be returned to us as we grow this community. And we've been growing virtually. Last week we had somebody watching from Mexico, so we just say thank you and welcome. And for anyone else who is joining us from far afield, we welcome you, and we are very glad that you are joining us. And we hope that when we get back into meeting, those of you who might have not been here before will come and experience our space, and we can keep live streaming and bringing all of you, everyone in, all y'all, as we say here in the South. We can bring all y'all in. So as we close this portion and move over to Zoom, hopefully Carolyn has opened the room and we are ready to go. Cross your fingers, folks. It's been a day of technological fun, so hopefully the Zoom thing will come off without a hitch. So join us over there for our talk back section, and we will sing ourselves out of here. There's a new intro. We are here for all of us. Some of us for all of us. We are here. We are here for all of us. It is some of us for all of us. There's no us and them. And I think this crisis is proving there is no us and them. So let us convene over on Zoom and have a chat about today. And if you're not joining us on Zoom, namaste. Have a great week. And we'll see you here again on YouTube and hopefully again on Facebook next week. Happy Easter.
Happy
Happy Easter.